This is Happy Munkey.
This is Happy Munkey.
Happy Munkey. Happy Munkey.
This is Happy Munkey.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Yo, it's Bunny Mike Game here. I got a pipe issue. I'm looking to see if maybe I can get some hydroponics going.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the man, the myth, the legend, Latino icon, award-winning choreographer, legend of NYC culture, member and president of the Rocksteady Crew, my brother from another mother from the BX, Crazy Legs.
Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You're too kind. Thank you. Yeah, this is huge, ladies and gentlemen. So please introduce yourself, Mr. Crazy Legs, who you are, what you do, my friends, to the new listeners and
on the boulevard.
On the boulevard.
Well, I'm a member of Rocksteady Crew. Been part of Rocksteady Crew since '79. Rocksteady Crew started in 1977. I personally have been dancing since 1977. I happen to have come up in hip hop during a time when, in order to be respected, you had to put your reputation on the line. So that meant that everybody battled. Every element battled. You couldn't just make a video, drop it online. You couldn't make a record, drop it online, and kind of like force feed or condition them to like it based on plays or anything like that. You actually had to do what you do in person, and they would assess on the spot whether they liked you or not.
Absolutely. You put your skill to work.
Yeah, so the thing is that it was very hard to be liked immediately. You know, there aren't many artists that can go get on a platform and no matter what the element is and be liked immediately. Mm-hmm. That's super hard. People have to strategize that shit, or else their whole career is dead before they even get on stage.
Yep.
Because I don't want to say they're whack, but there are people who are taking shortcuts in the studios, and then
it shows. It'll show later.
But then you put them on Tiny Desk concert, and it's a wrap. They're done. Yeah, they're exposed. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they stayed away from that.
And back then, they didn't open the door as the quick as they do now. You had to actually.
Bro, you had to create the door.
You had to create the door.
Yo, there was no door. There wasn't even like I think if there was a thought of a door, it had to be definitely primarily with the rap artists. Because everyone else was definitely, we were all doing our thing, but there was a recording industry that you could easily break into, where in breaking, there's no Broadway show for us back then. There's no movie opportunity or dance studio that we could be a part of to create a production. Back then, if you got into dance, for the general public, it was ballet, tap, jazz, and that shit that in the hood.
Yeah, that wasn't.
For me, that wasn't me.
Yeah,
that wasn't me. I used to walk by and check out the girls.
Yeah. How about this? A lot of people don't even understand that breakdancing it's a very big part of hip hop.
So let me correct you on the word breakdancing first. So the word breakdancing, let's just say. Number one, it doesn't come from hip hop. The word breakdancing. The word breakdancing came from my former manager, who was a British woman, punk rock British woman named Cool Lady Blue. She misspoke in a meeting one day, and we just gigged on her. We were laughing. She said, "Yeah, breakdancing," and we were like, like this woman's crazy when she talked about breakdancing, because we just called it rock and break and going off things like that, b-boys, b-girls. Yeah. So for me, the reason I don't use it is because, and I guess the best way to describe it with you being Latino is that if I were from outside of the community, and I wanted to call it salsa because my people would if I didn't want to call it salsa and I wanted to rename it in a way that my kind of people would accept it, and it's easier for them, like, how would you feel?
Right.
You're already losing control.
Yes.
So that's why I don't use the word breakdance. It just doesn't come from hip hop. So yeah, but what was your question?
No, it was just a general statement that just letting people know that b-boy is a very, very big part of hip hop. Like, people don't understand there's 4 elements. They just think it's rap.
Well, the thing is that we actually, when we first started doing shows for the downtown scene, the first show that was put together by a man named Henry Chalfant. And it was at a place called the Kitchen Center for Performing Arts. And this was like 1981. And we were performing down there. And it was mostly B-boys and B-girls. And then you had like T-Kid, who was a graffiti writer, doing his thing. And then you also had DJ, MCs. But predominantly, actually, that day for the first presentation of what was later to be known as hip hop, because it still didn't have a name yet. It was just like, yo, you break,
it was still
yo,
raw,
you write, you DJ, you MC. That was how you were identified back then. There was no such thing as
name,
like,
no title.
yo, you down with hip hop? No such thing as that. So Latinos have been in there for a long time, number one, and then breaking was part of what brought it to the club world. You had songs like The Breaks by Curtis Blow, or what is it? The Message by Furious 5 and things like that. But those groups weren't doing a presentation of the full happening that was going on. They were just like Furious 5 was on tour with the Commodores. But that's just them performing music. No, they weren't pushing the idea of
the whole culture.
We come from a culture, because we were still not identifying ourselves as a culture yet.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that they were like abandoning anything like that. Or they weren't doing their job. Yeah. It's just that we didn't have any kind of direction as a scene until 1982. So you figure if breaking, hip hop, all that
Graffiti,
stuff really started around. Well, the idea of the genesis started around 73, 74. It didn't have a name until 82, until November of 82.
Crazy.
Which is when we did the first, it was called the New York City Rap Tour. And Africa Bambaataa happened to use words that were said by Lovebug Starsky pretty often when he would be DJing, kind of like when he say, let's rock, y'all, you don't stop, and hip hop, y'all, just like a word of action, dancing, partying. So it could have been the rock culture. It could have been, the go off culture, the go off culture. It could have been any one of those things, but Bambaataa just randomly chose that word and said,
it stuck.
Yeah, and it stayed. And because it was documented like that in, I believe, the Daily News, after we came back from that trip, it stuck, and we all started following what Bambaataa was saying. He's the one who kind of like, it was weird.
Structured it, right?
I don't want to say here's the thing. He structured Zulu in a way that Zulu represented his idea of what he felt everything should be, which was peace, unity, love, and having fun, and then knowledge, wisdom, understanding, all that stuff. So he's grabbing from his teachings, from watching certain things, and then the 5% Nation of Islam, and then religious stuff, and then cultural things, which for the street dudes that was stick-up kids but dope b-boys or dope MCs, it's like, yo, fuck all that shit. Fuck all that peace, unity, love shit. Run your shit.
So
So the thing is that a lot of people have this idea that, yo, that's not what hip-hop was meant to be. It's like, yo, my dude, there was no such thing as what it was meant to be, because we were fragmented.
It's art. It's art.
Yeah, we were all just, for me, it was, like my man Mr. Wiggles says, it was our ghetto games. The same way Double Dutch was there, Skelly's, and and all that stuff.
Yeah, B-boying
breaking became that thing for us, and rapping was for the poets or whatever.
Exactly.
But even with that, you could look at people like Wolfman Jack, Cap Calloway, and all these other people who spoke in rhyme form.
Yes, sir.
We just did it within the essence of, I guess, our needs to express ourselves during a time of music that we were appreciating that was really our parents' music coming out of the civil rights movement. And then, you know, one thing leads to another, and Henry Chalfant does that show, and that leads to something else. We start
all
performing
organic.
downtown.
It happened all organic.
Yeah,
and
it was
there was
organic.
no plan.
There was absolutely no plan. It was, and the thing is, I don't want, like, Henry's my dude, but I can't say, oh, Henry gave us the platform, because rappers were already having a platform.
Yeah.
DJs were already having a platform.
They were making money already.
You know,
They were producing
writers like Futura were already, I think, may have already been in the gallery. So it's not like things weren't existing on their own, but Henry did put that first show, Graffiti Rock, together. And a lot of people who know the history might confuse that with a television show called Graffiti Rock that Michael Holman did. But Michael Holman actually bit the name from Henry Chalfant. Whatever. He claims he didn't remember doing that, but you know,
right.
The documentation is there.
From what you're saying, Crazy Legs, that's why it's an honor to have you here. That basically everybody back then in that era when you came up, nobody was in it for the money. It was all passion.
No,
Because nobody knew.
No, that's not true.
Nobody knew if it was going to be money like there is now.
No, but
like
the
that.
thing is that knowing there's money and then the idea of what you consider money are two different things.
Okay.
So for me, when if I went to a jam, I still got to pay to get into the jam.
Absolutely. You need
Maybe not the park jams, but also if we had battles, the way people used to do it was, yo, all right, cool, bring 7 of your dudes, whatever. We got 7, $3 a man.
Right.
The winner takes the pot.
Boom.
You know?
That's how
But
you
the
make
whack
money.
shit for me was because I was a broke-ass dude, broke-ass kid. If somebody put up my $3 and we won, I didn't get shit. The dude who put up the $3 doubled his money. No, he
crazy.
actually...
I get it.
He doubled his money, and then whatever money came because of me. So
Yeah.
it
Crazy.
is doubled. So
That's
yeah,
crazy,
but
man.
the idea of money, like a lot of people think like, oh, this was all done for the love. If we were to go by the idea of what was considered the first jam, I'm sorry, Kool Herc charged people to come in.
Right.
You know, if that flyer is so-called real, you know,
Yeah.
there's a price amount on it. So there was money
Absolutely.
from the beginning.
Nobody just structured it in a way where you guys pretty much benefited as much as I guess let's say big corporate, you know what I mean, or whoever at the time,
There
or
was
whatever
no-
record
yeah.
deal or whoever, you know, you guys just weren't prepared as they were.
Nah, we was just straight up hood rat dudes.
Can you explain to us, Crazy Legs, how the whole Rocksteady crew came about and how that whole came together? How that
Well,
whole
I
movement
joined
came together?
Rocksteady after it was already formed. So,
But I'm sure you got knowledge of how
yeah.
it went about.
I mean, the
What-
original leaders, Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee,
That's good
are the
to
ones
say.
who put
Black
it
people
together. And they were part of a crew called the Bronx Boys, and the Bronx Boys were primarily like a Puerto Rican Zulu nation with no intention on gaining knowledge of self. It was just like stick up kids and graffiti writers, you know, or graffiti writers who happen to be stick up kids. But Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee were also dope b-boys, and they weren't really so much for graffiti. So, you know, they just formed a crew and got the blessing of the Bronx Boys, and that was it. You know, I
History.
actually was part of the Bronx Boys, and then became part of Rocksteady.
You
So the
became a
Bronx
big
Boys
part
was
of
like
Rocksteady.
basically like a mini Rocksteady before it blew up.
No, the Bronx Boys was huge, man. The Bronx Boys, like, it was, although it was from the Bronx, it was the equivalent of what a Zulu Nation would be, but for Latinos.
Yeah, well, Zulu Nation was huge.
It was like the collective of all Latinos doing anything
Yeah.
positive and artistic.
No,
well,
not
just the
positive
crew,
at all,
nigga,
man.
Gang, nigga.
See, that's the thing. Yeah,
a
the
gang,
wrong
nigga.
idea of what was going on.
Yeah.
I need
it
you.
was-
It's
it
the
was
Bronx,
wild.
nigga. You forgot.
I
You
need
gotta
you
tell
to
us.
paint a picture
Here's the
for
thing.
people like me and this
Yeah,
new generation
yeah.
of the environment and the elements and what was going on at the
Yeah.
time, the climate.
So here's the thing, and the only reason I talk about the fact that it was stick-up kids, it was all kinds of rah-rah shit, and then there was other people who were just straight students who
Yeah,
happened
they were
to
trying.
like to be b-boys or b-girls or whatever, MCs and all that stuff. But the thing about it is that beauty of being able to tell that story is that it shows that, okay, well, in order to be dope, you had to develop your craft. You want to develop your craft, you got to spend hours doing it. If you're spending hours doing that, you're not sticking somebody up. The problem is 6 hours after practice, you starving Marvin, and
No
now you
money.
got to go catch a Vic
Real quick,
because you don't have no money.
for those who don't understand what a Vic
A
is,
victim.
it's a victim to some sort of burglary, robbery, or
Yeah,
something.
stick
For the
up.
people that
Stick
don't
up.
know, can you explain, Crazy Legs, the environment in the Bronx and in New York City streets in the 70s and
Man.
the 80s so they can understand? Because right now they're looking at this new New York and they don't understand why all the
Yeah.
things you're mentioning are relevant.
Right. Was it President Ford who said at the time in his 70s, I mean, he may have said in like 73 or something, that the Bronx was the asshole of the ass of the United States.
Crazy.
That's how bad it was. It looked like Beirut in there. And if they don't know what Beirut looks, actually, anyone who's listening can just look up Bronx 70s and just go to images.
Yep, you'll see
If
all the
you don't see.
rundown.
So the thing is that you had these Jewish landlords who saw, in their eyes, were spicks and niggers, and go moving into these places and devaluing their property. So they would pay heroin addicts or someone desperate for money or outlaw gang members to set a fire in a building to basically make it become abandoned or make it structurally unsafe, so that they can collect and be done with it and leave it abandoned. So some of those buildings came down on their own. A lot of times, you know, we saw wrecking balls in the Bronx a lot, you know, because they had to take down the rest of the building. And so we lived in what looked like a war zone, you know, in a lot of places. I'm not saying it was like that everywhere,
but it looked
but
like that.
A lot of that was.
there was that. And then, you know, the other climate is the racism that existed. If you were in say on Crotona Avenue, 183rd, you have Arthur Avenue over there, and if you want to get across the Fordham Road, you couldn't take a shortcut through Arthur Avenue to get through Fordham Road. You had to go in a big circle to go around. The same way they couldn't come through our area.
Right.
So-
who was on
very
Arthur Ave?
Italians. It was Italians. But they'll also
Bronx Tale.
But you also had to be careful around Marshall Loop Parkway, Throgs Neck, stuff like that. And so there was that element of it, which was messed up. And but there were also pockets where, let's say around Morris Park, or like where I lived for a while was Garfield Street and Van Ness Avenue, and it was kind of like a place where you had an intersection of Black, Puerto Rican, and Italian. That was just the best.
That was a
shit
very rare
ever.
thing in
And
those times.
It was the best shit area ever. There was a place called Lino's Tavern, and I would go in there as a little shorty, like maybe 8, 9 years old, and that's why I became a Yankees fan. I would go in there, like you could go in the bar, the neighborhood bar, as a little kid and go watch the game in there while the adults are drinking and stuff like that. And then meanwhile, it's like we're all hanging out in the front. Then in the back of the restaurant is all the wise guys. You know,
All the OGs.
no, the Italians.
The Italians.
The
Let's
mafia
be clear.
dudes.
Yeah.
The mafia
Let's
dudes.
be
The wise
clear.
guys.
Yeah. So, I mean,
That Bronx tale was real.
yeah.
People don't know.
Oh no.
That
So
Bronx tale that was real.
I grew up in the area that Bronx tale is about, and that is very real. Except I happen to live in that one area where they intersected, and it was okay. But you couldn't really venture into certain areas. I knew if I went like 3 blocks and then made a left, that's an issue. You know, and I lived 3 blocks from it. So, and those are the short blocks too. So the spillover could happen easily.
Thank you for that depiction of that era right there, because like I said, a lot of the new generation doesn't understand what the climate and the environment and what the politics were.
They
back
got
then.
it made. They got they got cameras all over. If the mentality of me or one of my boys in a desperate situation existed now, and there were no cameras, you know, the way we thought back then, and if there were no cameras now, you know how many dudes grew and guys and girls grew up in a very safe environment where they could be theatrical thugs.
Yes.
And get away with some
Theatrical thugs.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term. I like
Yes,
that one.
I like that. I like that.
I'm gonna steal that one. Theatrical
good.
thugs.
Oh,
That's
man.
an original.
I like that.
So the thing is that, you know, it was just a very dangerous environment. And, you know, when people talk about, oh man, I should have been born back then, man, you ever miss it? I'm like, I was starving. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like I was going.
I was
This
desperate.
wasn't to be cool. This wasn't theatrics. This was survival.
Yeah, we were definitely surviving. And then, you know, after a while, you get to a point where, you know, you start learning how to defend yourself and protect yourself, and you start, you know, I had, you know, when Rocksteady was given to me, I had a deep ass crew of like 500 people, and you know, that crew consisted of roller skaters, writers, DJs, b-boys, everything. And a lot of those people were also the same people who were stick-up kids. So, you know, whether it's taking the one train, you know, and like to go back, you know, traveling on any train in New York was really rough, because you didn't, like, if you were brave or stupid, you would hang out in the back car.
The back
Or
car.
if you were tagging up. You know, but then the thing about tagging up is that you look like you have ink all over you, and you be considered an ink bum, and so the cops would always walk up on you and just search you and take your shit.
What do you even think about the role that graffiti played in this whole movement?
I mean, when we did that New York City rap tour, Futura, all of them were there. When we did Graffiti Rock, you know, a lot of heads were there. You know, graffiti is the lights on Broadway for us, you know. That's how we got. Well, then I'm quoting Wiggles again. That's my dude. So Wiggles always called it the lights on Broadway, and it was the way you got your fame.
That was the hieroglyphs of that era, the way it was for the Egyptians.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good comparison, my friend.
Yeah, or continuation.
So tell us a little bit about your filmmaking, about how you came out in all these epic, historical, iconic movies.
Wild Style,
Wild
Street,
Style.
all sorts
Beats.
of shit.
So we had done already.
Star Wars.
Yeah, we had already done a documentary, Star Wars. Then we also did Wild Style, which was done in 2 different parts because I think budget-wise they weren't able to complete it in one shot. But and that was. Man, we barely got paid for Wild Style. Star Wars, I doubt we got paid. I just don't remember it. Then again, back then I was so high. Who knows? We were all puffing blunts back then. No, I'm sorry. We didn't even have blunts back then. It was joints and bats.
Joints and bats. That's another thing coming. Now we ask every guest that comes on here, you know, real quick, simple question, my friend. Please explain to us the first time, if you can remember.
Yeah, I can remember.
The first time smoking a joint or a bat or a blunt, whatever it was. Well, can you remember what it was?
Yeah, I was actually, I was hanging out with my boy Kevin over on 84th Street and Amsterdam Avenue by Brandeis High School.
I went to Brandeis. Shout out to Brandeis.
So we was hanging out on a stoop on one of the blocks over there, and he had, I'm not going to say a 40 because no 40s existed back then. He had a quarter OE.
A quarter.
And he
Old English for everybody who don't know. Some malt liquor.
Yeah. And he rolled a joint, and I was 14 years old, man. And we just blazed right there. That was the first time.
Rolled a joint of that dirt.
That was 1980.
What do you remember what kind of weed it was?
I don't know. It was probably some dirt weed, man. It had to be some dirt weed because nobody. It was hard to get good weed back then.
Of course.
Yeah, you know, seeds. I mean, forget it.
Of course.
Did you remember how it made you feel? Give you the munchies?
I don't remember at all.
No, it's just that's it. It was just a joint, and then it was over.
And maybe my system was so weak, I just couldn't remember anyway. Because that was the first time. So
when did you start in that time that you started being more of a regular frequent flyer, whatever
for blazing?
Yeah, for blazing back then.
Man,
that era.
You know, I could easily say back then, I was a stoner moocher. Because it's not like I was out there paying for stuff all the time.
Right, you just smoking.
I was smoking dudes in ciphers, so everyone was just like, you the celebrity, hood ghetto celebrity, and people would be like, yo, boom, here, yo, I got you, and then weed goes on to turns into something else, and it got a little crazy for a second. I was never like smoked out or anything like that, but had I continued on the path with other experiments, it could have been real messed up the way it was for a lot of other people.
Let me ask you a question. You that were there front and center in that era and that climate of, oppression and poverty, how do you feel cannabis played a role in easing everybody's mind when everybody's going through all these things in that era?
I mean, the cokeheads were always doing some dumb shit, so weed is the opposite. It's like you're still dumb, but you're not doing shit. At that time,
you ain't stealing the TV.
Nobody knew what strains they were smoking back then. None of that existed. I mean, people were like, yo, I got this bag of gold, red, Thai stick, or whatever, but no one knew the difference between sativa and indica and all that stuff. And
you just smoke what you got. And that's
yeah. So no one knew. And then people were also smoking dust. So, I mean, I think dudes' hygiene in the hood was pretty bad back then. So, the only problem, I would say the bad part about weed was everyone's breath smelled.
Oh, that's a light side effect compared to everything else.
Yeah. But now, I think everyone's a lot better with that now. But I would say, I mean, it's crazy because it's not anything that I really thought about.
That's why I hit you with it.
It's
I gotta help you think about it.
Whatever we did, we just did back then, and a lot of it was peer pressure. So you're thinking like, okay, well, this is what we do.
You did it in passing.
Like I've never felt like I want to do that or I want to do anything. At that time, it was just, all right, this is what we do.
With the flow.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. I'm 14, 15, 16 years old. I'm not rationalizing anything. I'm just like, all right, cool. We're having fun. I'm going to drop this acid. Next thing you know,
like that.
Next thing you know, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning and you're on Brighton Beach or Orchard Beach and you're having fun, still giggling. The dust heads are hiding from the sun under the boardwalk.
Right.
That's crazy. Let's talk about what exactly did you win the choreographer award for?
No, I didn't win a choreography award. No, I was nominated for
a choreography.
Yeah.
What was that for?
So myself and my dude Henry, a.k.a. Link from Elite Force, we had choreographed the Still Staying Alive video for Wyclef.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
right.
I remember that video, man.
So
it made me b-boy and shit, man.
Yeah. So we actually were nominated for a video, MTV Video Music Award. And the crazy thing is that, first of all, you're excited because you're going there and getting all suited up. You think like you got a chance. And, you feeling like, oh, man, I'm going to be sitting up there. I'm going to be in the front on the round tables with everybody. Like, Michael Jackson's going to be there. This person's going to be there.
Crazy.
Blah, blah, blah. So I get my tickets. I roll up to the spot. And then, I was basically in the last seat in the house on the bottom row. Like, all the way by the wall.
In the bleachers?
No, not the bleachers.
Behind the bleachers?
No,
bottom. In the like bottom, brother. Not even on top.
All the way in the back.
Just in the back.
All the way in the back.
Ground level.
The first thing that I realized was like, all right, well, I'm not winning.
Right.
The second thing was we lost to Madonna. And
that's not bad competition, though. That's not bad.
But
it is the same category.
Yeah, but the thing is that
Madonna,
her video
man.
won, and her video really didn't have any choreography in it. So it was just politics.
Yeah,
just politics.
It was just Madonna.
So I mean, we didn't win an award, but I think the one thing that is a fact is that to be nominated is still a huge honor.
Of course.
That's pretty cool.
Well, coming from what you just said and coming from what you just coming from, shit, that's
something from nothing to
that.
Still nothing, but I had to. Yeah. I got to look good accepting nothing.
Now, let me ask you a question, Crazy Legs. Did you ever think, and I want to know how it came about, like your first time, getting that call from everything you told me, you came from the bottom all the way to being flown out internationally to perform. How was it the first time that you stepped into that stage?
The Graffiti Rock show, here's the thing. For us, I remember I think that day we performed, I made maybe $15 or $20. And that was exciting to me because we didn't have money, welfare, all that stuff. So for me, it's like, oh, wow, I got some munchie money.
Right.
You you from the hood, you thinking like,
For dancing.
whatever you want.
I was doing this for love anyway.
Yeah. Well, just
I didn't. No, I mean, I was doing it because I couldn't. Like, I was into boxing, I was into baseball, but it cost money. I fell in love with dancing, but my first loves are baseball and boxing. That's why to this day, you could put a bat in my hand, and I'm in the boxing gym several days a week still.
Oh yeah, that's your shit. That's
yeah,
your
that's
passion.
my shit right there. So, I fell in love with hip hop as a whole when I went to this one jam on Crotona Avenue in the Bronx. I had already seen breaking the year before, and I saw my brother doing my brother Robert, and I was just basically embarrassed because I'm like, damn, why is my brother throwing himself on the floor like in front of where we live? Put my head down in shame. And then the next year, my cousin Lenny Len takes me to a jam on Crotona Park over on Crotona Avenue in the Bronx, and I saw everything. There was a Puerto Rican DJ, this dude named Little Angel, and then there was B-boys in there, B-girls, and people dancing. I saw writers, and it wasn't by design or promotion that all those people came together. It's kind of like in Wild Style. We're all graffiti writers, It's like everyone in Puerto Rico is a salsero.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everyone dances salsa because that's just part of what's happening. So, yeah, I just fell in love with it. I had like some whack ass gear on. I tried the first time I tried to dance, I felt like I came to life at that moment because I was a really shy kid, and I was still shy for a long time. But that dance, that practicing, that training, and I could only assess it, with the wisdom of saying like, all right, I've lived. Now if I look at it, and I was a little kid, had no money, had all this energy, all this testosterone. Breaking gave me a way to be competitive. Breaking gave me a way to get a pat on the back. Breaking gave me a way to hit that home run or slide into a base. Beating somebody in a battle is like knocking somebody out. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting all these athletic juices out of me, and getting fame at the same time. I was mad shy, so I wasn't really trying to talk to girls yet. I think I didn't realize anything about girls until I had a wet dream. But so it was something that I just fell in love with immediately. I started practicing often, mad often. Me and my cousin, we would get dissed by people like, yo, you're whack. But whack in a sense like, yo, go back and practice. Back then we were
constructive criticism.
Now, ghetto ass constructive
of course
criticism. Because now motherfuckers is so sensitive.
Oh my God.
Yo, you gotta be politically correct. Make sure that parents don't come after you. All kinds of shit. You got dance moms and all this shit involved. And I get it. That's cool. Because, I mean, had my mom and pops been around with my situation, maybe I wouldn't have gotten into shootouts. Maybe I wouldn't have, gotten into so many fights and all these things that I did, just being mad destructive while being an artist at the same time.
It's a lot.
So, but it also, I mean, I wouldn't change it because that sense of protecting yourself and that raw attitude that we lived came out in our dancing, and that's what gave b-boying its character, and that's why these days that's how I get to theatrical thuggery, because to me it's like, yo, my dude, don't act like what you can't even reference. Mm-hmm. Like, you were never that. Yeah. And the beauty about breaking is that you can be yourself. Being an MC, you can be yourself.
Yes,
There
that's
doesn't
the
have
whole
to be
point.
any-
You don't gotta lie.
With hip-hop allows you to be yourself. You could still be creative, have flow, wordplay, and entertain a crowd
keep
and
your
never have to
identity.
fake being
Yeah,
a thug.
absolutely.
Because
I
talent
agree.
is always going to speak for itself.
agree.
The only reason we acted hard or were hard back then is because we were doing that kind of shit.
Yeah, like you woke up and went down the street from your building, and that's it. It's popping.
You had to worry about getting stuck up. Like going to a jam back then, you know, if I was going to Disco Fever, I knew, okay, well, we're going to go to
Disco Fever.
Yeah, if we were going to go to Disco Fever, we knew that there was always stick-up kids around Disco
Where was
Fever.
Disco Fever for the people that don't know?
Jerome and, 170, I'm not even sure right now.
Now, these people don't understand from this generation that you couldn't just be anybody and go to these type of places.
Nah, you had to be connected, stupid, or brave.
Boom, there you go.
That was well put, my brother.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They think it's like now, like going to a club now. Like no.
Nah, man, hell no. Even when you thought you were safe, you had to worry. You know, so we would go to clubs and just be like, oh man, all right, cool, let's just go, fuck it, because you know, Charlie Chase is DJing, or Furious 5, or Grand Wizard Theater. We had to go see because we were fans of this whole thing that we were coming up in, and we would just...
And you couldn't go online, and you couldn't turn on the TV. You had to be there in person. If you wasn't there, you wasn't there. That's correct, right?
Yeah. So and that's the thing. So there's a lot of different perspectives, and a lot of people think they have the end-all discussion to the whole story, which is bullshit. I think everyone has to be, especially old school heads, they have to be comfortable with the fact that there are different perspectives. So for me,
I like that.
my perspective is like, let's say you go to a club, you know, like you if you talk about the Disco Fever had a dance floor, and then there was this green curtain, or I don't know what color curtain it was, and it was this other side of the club. So for me as a shorty that had no juice to get on the other side of that curtain, it was like, yo, we was chilling, yo, it was dancing, blah, 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 blah. But to the person that could go down the other side of that curtain and the regular area, it'd be like, yo, it was popping, it was dancing, but yo, then we went back to the other side of the curtain, and we would sniff and blow. And it was just like a get high room of drugs.
Crazy.
In the Disco Fever. So for me, had I not peeked in there one day, I would have never known what was going on. So my perspective is, Disco Fever is the greatest thing on earth. You know?
Crazy. There was different pockets of it though.
Yeah. And you know, so there's also you know, so I was saying you have to take the chance on getting stuck up.
That was a possibility? You tell me that's the possibility when you went over there?
Always. Most clubs. So, and the thing is that before you go in, see, we didn't know there was a curtain back there, you know, what was behind the curtain. So we would have to go into one of the buildings where maybe somebody else was, maybe could have been a stick-up kid, maybe someone else blazing, because we wanted to go blaze before we went in the club. So it's like, all right, we want to go to the club, we might get stuck up, but we also have to blaze, so that puts us out there even longer to get stuck up. We're not in our own area. You know, we could defend ourselves, but you don't know. You're 16, 17, come across some dudes that's 20-something, and they live, access to more artillery.
Exactly.
More artillery.
You know?
Or they just got the drop, because some people don't understand.
Home court advantage.
You can have the artillery, but if you know, they got the drop on you, it's over for you, brother. There's not much you can really do.
Yeah, man. But you know,
so
that's what we knew. But at the end of the day, it didn't bother us. That was just life.
That was just normal environment.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, come on, let's go. Hurry up.
Yeah, man.
So how did it go from that to you getting that first phone call? Somebody wants to fly you out that you don't even know exists.
Oh yeah.
That you don't even know that you don't even know that at the moment probably that you're known on the other side of the world that knows about your art.
Well, for flying was the New York City Rap Tour. I don't remember a call at all. I think we were just having a meeting and we were told, hey, there's gonna be a New York City Rap Tour, aka the Roxy Tour. You know, and wow, we was wilding. I mean, we had no appreciation for anything, man. We went everywhere, and we got people telling us, hey, we want to take you to the Eiffel Tower and do this. We're like, no, take us to the hood. We want to just go to the hood.
Where's the party at?
All this other shit.
Where the hood shit, where the smoking at, where the girls at,
Get some
where's
blackberry
the action at?
brandy or something, man. So that's, I mean, for me, I had no appreciation for anything that I did back then until the 90s when I realized, oh shit, I'm an adult now. And I grew up around a lot of shit, and I see a lot of people who are now dying because now it's like, you know, crack era is full on. And
The effects of all that stuff you see in the coming
yeah,
fruition.
and then some of my boys who was rocking out back then ended up being like major drug dealers. You know, I mean, you got dudes that's making $150,000 a week. You know, and then with that goes a lot. You know,
New York.
You know, either people. Your boys are either people who are putting shit out there that's killing people.
They're the ones being killed.
Yeah, they're the ones being killed, but also those people that they're putting shit out to are probably some of their own friends that you grew up with, and so you're watching all your friends die, you watching shootouts, you carrying people to the hospital, you find yourself getting sucked into shit. Next thing you know, you're doing things. You know, it's like, oh man, there's a whole other level right now, and so I for me. Watching all that go on, I was like, I'm going to walk away from all this stuff because I was getting way too caught up doing things. And I just started volunteering in the Bronx 3 days a week at the Point Community Development Corporation as a way to use breaking and my ability to throw an event and all these other things to help a community of kids, Black and Latino kids out there. And during that time, that's when they had hookers on the point, all that other stuff happening at the same time. So I wanted to go to the worst neighborhood in the Bronx and help revive breaking, but also give it to people that were like me and who are susceptible to a lane that's pretty much a dead end. So and the thing is that I did all of that, helped bring breaking back. We use our resources to give it more notoriety again, started traveling again. But the thing is, let's say like 5-6 years ago, over the course of 2 years, of several of those kids that I knew from back then called me up. And they were like, you know, one's living in Australia, one is doing great, has an amazing job, all this other stuff. Like, so for my breaking program, you had to be doing well in school.
Awesome.
There was no way that
Fucking
I could fuck with you. But I took these kids to Wetlands to take over the whole club, and I let them run the box office, everything. Kids ages 10 to 16 years old to give them a sense of business. You know,
you really give.
Yeah, no, I took them to the circus, Knicks versus Bulls, all kinds of shit, and these are like little. Now these are little thugged out bastards.
Yeah, we in the hood.
Gentlemen, so you guys don't know, on the low, my brother Crazy Legs is a philanthropist. Aside from that, I know you've done some work in Puerto Rico and Uganda.
Yeah.
How did that
Well,
that
let me get to
the
other thing. Is that these young men now, or men, call me up, and it's like, you do something, you don't know what the result is gonna be, and they're calling you up decades later, like, yo, I've been using what you taught me throughout my life to make a living.
Wow.
This person died, that person died, blah, blah, blah. I stayed with what you showed me. And my boys that I was rolling with, some of them are dead, most of them are dead, or whatever the situation is. And they were like, yo, you saved my life. So, yo, like, that's some shit that makes you cry, man.
Hell
gratifying,
yeah,
right?
Hell yeah, man.
So,
ain't no
for
money
me,
in the world could replace that.
Yeah, and I would go to their, like, I would visit their parents, and I would make sure I checked their report cards, all kinds of shit to make sure that I was really involved with what was going on, and do fundraisers for the Point Community Development Corporation, with Tats Crew. You know Tats Crew?
No.
They're the ones that they do a lot. They're known as Tats Crew, the Mural Kings. They do a lot of murals around New York City, walls and all that stuff. The reason why there's murals the way they are right now is because Tats Crew are the ones who basically figured out the legal way of doing things and getting big companies to fund what they were doing, because they were doing ads for companies now. And that's what led to a lot of people turning those walls into, profitable ventures.
And doing their art in a mainstream way in society.
Yeah. So even like Big Pun, he shouts out Tats Crew in 100.
Nice. R.I.P. Big Pun.
So you also did some things like I mentioned in
yeah,
Puerto Rico and in Uganda.
Yeah. I mean, Uganda was just something that Red Bull.
People need to know. People just think you're a wild breakdancer. They need to know about the good things you've done for society too, break.
I mean, you know, I don't know.
Let them know. Fast forward 2019.
Yeah. Well, not 2019, but Uganda was 2008. When I went out there, Red Bull was like, "Hey, we have this situation where there's this organization on the ground in Uganda, and we're gonna do a documentary on how they're utilizing hip hop for change out there." And I was like, bet, like, you know, you're inviting me to go. I get to go to Africa, the land of where the beat comes from.
Right.
I'm a beat boy, Bronx boy, break boy. Hell yeah, I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go kiss the ground when I land.
Absolutely.
But and I don't know if you know, I did the project we did out there was called Bouncing Cats. And you can see it on YouTube, or if you really want to be helpful to the cause out there, purchase it on iTunes. Bouncing Cats. That documentary shows how these guys, Jehovah's Witness, Muslim, and a Christian all came together, utilizing their ability to be MCs, B-boys, DJs, and all that stuff, and bringing the community together, and then expanding that into other tribes. Uganda has 52 tribes, 52 dialects because of all the tribes.
Wow.
So causing unity is very difficult. So a lot of the elders, for many decades and decades, have tried to do things to bring people together. But one of the most successful things ever was Breakdance Project Uganda, which is the name of their program out there that Bouncing Cats features. And they were able to, just on the strength of common interests, like same way you're like, yo, how'd you roll that blunt? Damn, man. And then he's like, oh, yo, check this out. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, word. Like,
finding common ground.
Yeah, the seed for common ground was hip hop for them. And they built on that. And that led to conversations about what people need in their lives. It led to like, all right, well, what is it like being a Muslim? What is it like being a Christian? You know, they're breaking bread at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time they're asking, like, how'd you do that move? It leads to all these other things that bring them even closer together, building bridges. So that project was pretty amazing. Won a lot of awards. It came out in 2010. And, you know, so it went from doing things with The Point to doing that thing with Uganda, and to me. And I've always done, you know, things along the way outside of those things, but those are like the big things. But when Hurricane Irma happened, I was worried. But then it turned north. And, you know, because I have a house in Puerto Rico, I'm invested in Puerto Rico a lot of time and years in economic development, and education. So I had to go to Holland, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh man, there's a Cat 5 hurricane heading towards Puerto Rico. My friends, my home, everything's gonna be destroyed. So I'm freaking out, and then I know that there's gonna be desperate need for help as soon as it passes. So I'm thinking, damn, who can I call? Can I call P. Diddy? Nah, I don't even know him. You know, I'm like, who can I call? You know, who has enough power that I know that can help me to help my people?
Raise awareness for this.
So, you know, I'm at this event. People are like, yo, sign an autograph, take a picture. I got mad anxiety. I told the promoter, yo, I have to go. I can't. Like, I'm emotionally fucked up right now. So I go to the hotel, and I literally walked in my room knowing that all this devastation was coming to Puerto Rico, and I just started crying, man.
Yeah,
so
that's horrible.
So I got on the computer, and while I was crying, I wrote to Red Bull basically, like, you guys are the most powerful people that I know. Can you help me help my people? You know, I don't want to cross any lines.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but Red Bull, their whole idea when it comes to the athletes that they sign is like, yo, Red Bull gives you wings. What they mean by give you wings is that they help you to give your help your projects to take flight. That's what that really means.
Okay.
I know a lot of people think it means something else.
Yeah.
But it comes from what they do for the people that they take care of.
Okay.
So I reached out to them, and they basically set it up for me to get private planes back and forth. They set me up with this company called Waves for Water. They taught me how to use these water filtration systems that basically clear out the bacteria from water so that it becomes drinkable. Could turn brown water into crystal clear water literally in seconds.
Crazy.
You know, and it's a system you could put together without any electricity or anything like that. And then we also started a crowdfunding to buy more of these filters and to buy solar lights and to give money to farmers to help them get back on their feet again because crops were destroyed out there. We gave grants to organizations to get to these farmers as well. And we even, like, there's this one woman, Anna Figueroa, who worked at Saks Fifth Avenue, executive there, and out of her own time, she raised a lot of money, and she was gonna go down for Three Kings Day, and she was like, I'm gonna go down there and give kids toys. I'm like, wait, hold it, everybody's gonna do that, and that's not gonna help any. That's not helping
nobody.
anyone.
Not helping anybody.
So I found a way for her to still do toys and help people. So there's this place called Ser de Puerto Rico in San Juan and Ponce, and it's a school for kids and adults with autism who lost majority of their sensory therapeutic and learning tools. So I reached out to my man Johnson in Puerto Rico. I'm like, and he told me about them. Wait, who told me about them? Wait a second. I forgot who connected me with them. Somebody connected me with them. And then Johnson connected me with this toy company. So we connected the toy company with this organization, and they discussed what kinds of toys and things are used for teaching kids with autism. So gave them a list. They picked everything that they need for both schools, and we resupplied them with the money that Anna gave. And then with all the other stuff, between Red Bull, myself, and Waste for Water, we helped 200,000 people to have clean water, access to clean water.
Man, we gotta give a round of applause for that, man. This is that man right here. Everybody only knows about the dance, and they need to know about this philanthropy too.
Yeah, and then we also got turned on to this company called Empowered. So they make what's called Lucy lights. They're these blow-up lights that are solar powered. And then I ended up connecting with this girl named Angela Maria, who has an organization called Off the Grid, and they also recently just did some stuff in the Virgin Islands too, and the Bahamas. After that recent hurricane, but she works with the hard of hearing and deaf community. So we connected with her. We were schooled on like, yo, when the lights are out, and the lights were out for a long time in Puerto Rico. So like, how do you think people communicate who are deaf and hard of hearing? They can't even hear a doorbell. So I with the crowdfunding, and that crowdfunding was like Tony Touch, DJ Nuff, Puerto Rico Rob, all these people from the community who helped raise the money, like Literally Vega, Immortal Technique, so many people who came together with their talent or whatever, and we raised all this money. So I don't want to forget all these people who operated and supported Rocksteady for Life, which was the organization we created for it. But we were able to get like 3,000 solar lights into the homes of deaf and hard of hearing, abuelitos, whatever, my neighbors, especially I took care of my neighbors.
Nice.
And the thing is that it's crazy because I mention the neighbors now, and like for me, I'm that kind of dude. Since I grew up in the hood, I don't like people getting too close to me, and especially my neighbors are like
we like
let
separation.
them all mind their fucking business, stay out of my shit. And that brought me, I helped all my neighbors in Puerto Rico that live around my house with toiletries, clean water, whatever they needed, and supplies. I brought it for them, and it's cool because I have a much better relationship with them.
Of course.
And when I was trying to just stay away, and now I was like, yo, this is my solitude. I want anyone fucking with me. I just want to go to the beach and chill. So, but yeah, that situation brought us together. But I mean, when I went down there and I saw my boy, and I told him before Hurricane Maria hit, and before, because the next day we lost contact. I said, yo, don't worry. As soon as you see planes flying over Puerto Rico, I'm gonna be in one of them. I was literally on the first plane.
Crazy.
So the thing is that we landed in Aguadilla when Trump was saying that no planes could land there. His administration, maybe not him personally, but it's all operating under him. That airport was ready 3 days after the hurricane. Supplies didn't get there from the government until 2 weeks after.
Crazy.
So, either way, and I'd say right now, in Puerto Rico, the other big thing that we did, and this is through an organization called Tainas Unidas, my dude Bernard, and Fat Joe. I helped 3 planes which consisted of about 1 million pounds of supplies to land on the west side of the island when the government wasn't doing anything, when the government was saying nothing could land. And things were landing in San Juan and nobody knew where they were going, and we were able to figure out a way legally to get the stuff to the west side of Puerto Rico directly onto, not directly, but, through whatever channels I had to go through smoothly, and with, I don't want to give too much because I don't want to,
Of course,
I don't want
course,
to prevent
of
my
course.
system in case something happens again.
Yes.
And then they were just eventually made it onto trucks, and all those supplies were given out hand to hand. So there were no municipalities or mayors or governors.
No, they're straight to the people.
Yeah,
it was
so
direct to the people.
there was
that
no
needed it.
shady shit going on.
Word.
No shady shit at all.
Yeah, man.
We were out there getting dirty, getting our hands dirty. I caught Zika out there. I got PTSD over this shit.
Yeah, man, this shit crazy. I could imagine.
Yeah, so, and then I had my own crib to deal with, which had damage. And,
That's why you're blessed though, man, because even through you still out here surviving and doing whatever you do, you still taking out the time to try to help the people that come and look like you look like and
big,
come from
brother.
where you come from. I commend you for that.
yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I'm dysfunctionally good.
In a good way. Man.
Because, we all have our bullshit, our
Yeah.
own issues and bad habits and all that stuff. But at the same time, I mean, if you could create some balance with that stuff and make something happen, not for the sake of trying to control karma, but recognizing your power to use your platform, why not? I mean, I do a music festival, Puerto Rocksteady, every year now. It's going into our 8th year in 2020. And that was for an economic development and education before the hurricane happened. So this ain't new to me, but we've expanded. We've been able to do beach reforestation, beach cleanups, all kinds of things. Working with we work heavy with the Boys and Girls Club. We were able to, donate like whatever, $40,000 to them to help them with their program over there. So, and we just did it because we didn't take 1 penny from the money donated by the people. So, we definitely gave of ourselves, and a lot of us took losses financially just for the sake of our
that
people.
everything got to where it needed to get to.
Yeah. We did it. And even when, it's funny because even when I was like down to the last few $1,000s of money that was left over, like, damn, I'm not sure exactly how much there is, but I'm at this benefit. I need to spend the rest of this money. And my boy Ramon Rodriguez is involved with this thing called 100 Roofs. They fixed hundreds of rooftops in Puerto Rico. Ramon Rodriguez is the actor. I was there. I was like, all right, cool. Well, if I pay a few thousand extra on top of what's there, I'll give some of my own money. Let me fix a roof, which costs $5,000, and then I know I've covered the last bit of money, and
Every penny went to the
got
needy.
cushion in case there's a little bit of a mistake there.
Exactly.
But yeah, all the money went there.
You know what else I want to commend you for that a lot of people don't realize, but I do, and we speak about it. In this era of politically correctness and also everybody being so sensitive and all this BS, you have found a way to always respect African Americans, hip hop, but never lose your Latino identity and
Not
never
at all.
forget who you are. But that is difficult in this sensitive, politically correct era, and you do it very well.
Well, you know, for me, number one, anyone who knows their Latino roots, especially coming from the Caribbean, if you don't recognize that you have African in you, that's just denial.
Of
I
course.
mean, originally when Puerto Rico was first colonized, everyone there was black. Tainos were black.
Same
There
thing,
was-
Dominican Republic, all the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
exactly. It's
All
the
the
Arawak
Caribbean.
and Tainos.
All the-
Yeah.
So even the dialect of that was spoken there before Spanish was imposed was something that of an African dialect. So you know the roots are there, even before the slave trade, and it just like for me, all right, I'm light skinned, but my hair grows into an afro. So there's a lot going on there. The European genes, the Taino genes, the African genes, all that stuff is there. And I think that we're a dope ass hybrid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're sativa and indica.
Yeah, we
Straight up. We got that nice blend right there.
Yeah, that's so
The
true.
Caribbean is the sativa and indica of the world.
Absolutely.
It's so true. So everybody that comes on here, Mr. Crazy Legs, we asked them the $1 million question. If you had to describe Happy Munkey, the brand, the movement, everything you know about it in one word, what would that one word be, Crazy Legs?
Damn. Word? Word?
Yeah.
I would just do it like that as a question. Like, really? Word? Okay.
That's the most original one we got
Right.
yet.
Word, I'll be back. And that's exactly what it was for me.
That's
I mean,
it.
I don't have a specific word other than like, word.
Word.
Word?
With an
Word
exclamation
as a
mark and a question mark.
Exactly. Two
Crazy.
meanings.
Two meanings.
Excitement and curiosity.
Nice. My brother. Oh,
But
man.
honestly, I feel like it's a safe zone. I feel like it's an absolute safe zone for people who are of different backgrounds, different economic backgrounds, who just appreciate wellness.
Yes. Love it. I love it, man. So definitely, I'm going to say personally for me, this was an absolute motherfucking pleasure, my
Thank you,
friend.
man. I appreciate it.
This was awesome for me. I've watched you in all these movies that we described, you know what I mean? Like, so I know a little bit about at least your imagery and like what Crazy Legs, the legend, has become as far as New York. You know what I mean? I don't know about the rest of the world, but in New York, if you don't know who Crazy Legs is, you might be sleeping under a rock.
That's all. You know
what I
but
mean?
You know what? Here's the thing. There's two things. One is I don't walk around expecting people to know me because I don't have some sort of sense of entitlement.
I felt that from you. Very humble.
I'm cool
individual.
with that.
Yeah.
But I also do what I have to do because I'm in entertainment to work on my relevance. But the other thing is when it comes to relevance, I mean, if they don't know, maybe they'll know later on because right now I have a life rights deal with Red Bull to develop a Broadway play, a scripted feature film, and a documentary that's going to cover my life as a member of Rocksteady and leader. So
Congratulations.
Hell
man.
yeah.
You deserve that and more, man, for everything you've done for the culture, and for everything else,
Thank
man.
Absolutely, brother.
But they can follow me, stay up to date. Crazy Legs BX
There you
on
go.
Instagram
Come on.
and Twitter.
There you go.
Yeah, and PorterRocksteady.com for the music festival.
Awesome. Motherfucking Crazy Legs, ladies and gentlemen. We not gonna drag this out too long. This is the man, the myth, the legend, like my man like to say. My friends on the boulevard. This was absolute pleasure having the motherfucking legend, Crazy Legs, everybody. One more
Thank
round of
you, bro.
applause as we walk out of here.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for inspiring us and for being everything you are for the culture, being an icon for the community,
Absolutely,
the philanthropy,
my brother.
everything, you know.
Absolutely.
It helps us see that, you know, anything is possible when you put your heart first and your mind and you give it your all, man. Thank you for
Thank you, man.
giving us the
man.
pleasure to speak to you here and telling us a little bit about your background. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we gave you the biggest treat, New York City legend, icon on the boulevard. You never know who's going to check in. Till the next episode, guys, peace, love, and happiness.
What's good, everybody? This is your nigga Ralph, trying to keep you fresh with the info from Happy Munkey every single podcast. You already know what it is. If you haven't followed us yet, follow us on Instagram at @HappyMunkey_ or Happy Munkey Goodies. Now remember, that's monkey with a U. Also, if you haven't checked us out, we're on YouTube. So check out our channel, Happy Munkey TV. Keep us current, live, and everything with the culture.